Good evening. Happy Friday to everybody, and welcome back to the Hill Shadows podcast. If you guys love things paranormal of that nature, hit the subscribe button. That's the kind of content we cover here. Got some really good stories to share with you guys this week. Some just various things. And getting started off, I know there's been a little bit of controversy going on. I've noticed around some YouTube videos I've watched about Zach Bagans. That's for those of you that don't know, that's the host of the show Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel network. And people have been saying basically that he's just not a very good person, right? Basically,
He's a hater. He wants to be.
The money went to his head, from what I understand, and the other guys that was working under him started making their own little shows, and Zach didn't like it none.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly, he did not like it none. There's a video from Dakota, from what's
Destination
Fear. Their show got canceled. This is no longer an alleged
yeah, but
thing.
that doesn't have anything
it did get
to
canceled, and this guy, the guy Dakota that was the producer, he made a video stating that Zach Bagans was in no way responsible for the show being canceled. Basically, Zach Bagans didn't make a call to anyone at the network to get the show canceled, but on the flip side of that, he said that they were not on very good terms, and it was no kind of friendship between them. And
however, Nick
Groff, that's who I was trying to think of his name as well.
Formerly on
Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
He also, I don't know the show that he did, but
he was on. Oh yeah, I'm not sure about that.
He also did a show.
Well, he thinks Zach prevented him from getting any jobs.
So it's I don't know.
He got fired from.
Basically, from what I understand, it's taken people 20 years to figure out what I found out in the first episode.
What do you mean you found out?
I mean, have you watched Ghost Adventures?
Yeah, but watching it, you can't find out that.
I could have told you what kind of person Zach Bagans was. Episode 1, 5 minutes in. Come on now. I don't know. I feel like the guy probably always has been kind of a douchebag kind of guy, and it seems like my assumptions have been confirmed in this particular thing that's happened.
Didn't I hear something about his ghost museum thing that he has? I can't think of what he call it. Some of the things that he has in there are not even his.
Right, yeah, he copied off a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I just looked up Zach Bagans.
Okay.
This sums up Zach Bagans. He's been active on Twitter, by the way. He was excited for tonight's investigation, which I assume his little buddy gets possessed, because he does every episode. Alright, but this is the next one I see was, golfing weather is finally here. Where you at, Jay Wasley? Golfing weather is finally here. He looks
you
like
love to golf too.
I like golfing, man. I do like golf. I do.
Sounds to me like you're hating right now.
Against Zach Bagans? Sound like he could use something going his way. Look, if you treat your coworkers like shit,
yeah,
I don't care for you. You deserve to be canceled. Now, the only thing I'm sad about is that it took him this long to figure it out, because apparently this dude's been an asshole for the longest.
But is this gonna do anything?
Is it gonna change him? No.
Right.
It's too late in the game for Bagans to change at this point. He's already accumulated
cancel culture.
A haunted mansion or whatever. I don't
real
think.
Thing now.
Yeah. So
a lot of times, all that does is like spike views for.
Right.
You know.
Oh.
They say any publicity is good publicity.
I can't not bring this up because this was a big thing that happened. 6ix9ine got jumped.
That has nothing to do with paranormal.
But what made me think about this is you said that a publicity stunt, and a lot of people were saying that he did it like as a publicity stunt, which I disagree. But
Oh, that was
the
a real.
moronic thing is that the people that did it filmed it and got him publicity. So who were they trying to? Whose side are they on?
Well, he got beat up. I think that was the whole point. They wanted.
Oh, he got beat up. I
I
bet he's
guess I
damn
haven't
near
watched the
healed at this
video.
point. Man, he walked himself out of the gym. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I didn't need to kill him. Jeez.
No. I'm just saying it's not even like they gave him one of them beat downs where it's like he ain't never gonna. Like he probably forgot about that as soon as he got out of that building.
Maybe.
Man.
I don't know. I haven't seen the video.
For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, there's
or
a
who even
or who I'm
6ix9ine
talking
is.
about. There's a
Takashi.
very
Rainbow dude.
controversial. I don't even want to call him a rapper because he's not that. He's like a rap icon, or he was. He notoriously ratted on the gang affiliation he was with. So he went around bragging about it, and for a couple of years, got off pretty unscathed by the whole thing. And it seems like karma may have caught up with him just a little bit. He got caught. He wasn't trying to hide. He was at a LA Fitness and
in the sauna.
somewhere in Florida, and these guys caught him in the sauna, and I guess there's video.
I hear the cat meowing at the door.
Well, he can't come in because we got that on air. We don't have that, but we need that. Yeah.
Enough with
6ix9ine. Another thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I looked up the Zach Bagans controversy. Saying fraud accusations surface amid ongoing Dakota drama. There are a couple videos, like I said, these guys made. They're not really that interesting, so I don't feel the need to share them on our channel by any means. But yeah.
I mean, basically,
we've already
to sum it up.
We summed it up. This dude just was hating. He was trying to.
He wants to be.
He wanted to hog the limelight.
In that, realm of.
And yeah, rumors he had shows canceled and whatnot, and who knows? I don't know the dude. I just know he always seemed kind of corny to me, so I'm not surprised to find out he was a bit of a dick.
So overdramatic.
Very. I never was a big fan of the show, man. It's very a repetitive formula. They just do the same thing, same results. I don't know. Never really appealed to me. One thing we forgot to talk about last week was a movie we watched before last week's podcast.
Oh yeah.
And that was Knock at the Cabin Door, correct?
Yeah, something like that. It was completely not what I expected.
It was
good,
an
though.
M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I'm not a big fan of his movies. Usually they throw. He always throws them in a direction where I'm just not really feeling satisfied with the results of it.
Oh.
But this time,
it was good.
I was rather surprised by how it all played out, and I'm not gonna.
I thought it was gonna be like some
drop
spooky
any
stuff in the
spoilers for you
woods.
guys or anything, but
It's not that.
it's not that.
You can't say much about
pretty
it.
Good
though, really.
movie. Yeah,
It was
you
a good
really
movie.
can't say a whole lot about it without giving
ruining
up
it.
spoilers. Another one we watched tonight was was one that has gotten a lot of I know it won like a Grammy. Right?
He won a Grammy. Yeah.
Brendan Fraser. It's The Well.
It was good.
Not a bad movie. It actually it has some pretty good writing to it as well.
I cried.
Well, that's not saying what she always.
I cry. I cry on a lot of stuff.
I kind of prevented myself from letting myself get in that mind frame because I was very critical of it, and my thoughts were on the fact that I think the budget of the movie. It's like all in that apartment, right? It's like none of.
Yeah, but
I wish his ass would have took his butt off that couch and went to the hospital, so there would have been another scene. Like that would have been awesome to have. Like maybe they would.
That would have taken from.
Yeah, they would have to spend money on another set though.
It was a good movie. I thought it was good. I wasn't a fan necessarily of like the very last 10 seconds of the film maybe. That was a little weird, but overall was great. Really good.
Yeah, a good movie. I'd recommend both of those probably. There aren't a lot of movies that come out anymore where I'm really excited about. one that I'm really looking forward to that I think we'll finally have the opportunity to see next week is Avatar.
I've been waiting a while to see that. I can't wait.
I just don't want to go sit 3 hours in a theater to watch that.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
it's a little longer.
Next week we won't have to, so that's cool.
But what else before we get started? I want to say there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and I just cannot.
We really should have like a little whiteboard
here. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. We're trying to make improvements constantly here, so.
Anyway, I know what.
What is it?
We went hiking yesterday.
We had to talk about, we uploaded a video. We went to the Daniel Boone National Forest, did a little hiking yesterday. Pretty interesting stuff.
Weird. I don't know what it was. I don't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me.
But if you guys watch the video, the part she's referring to is
at the end.
Is at the end of it, and also in editing, I put a little thing on there of the area she's talking about. You really can't tell a lot about what it is, but
there's like a tree that's fallen down, laying on the ground, and there's a part in it that looks like, I don't know, like maybe he's been broke off or something. Where like, it's exposed inside.
Mm-hmm.
Which also I find kind of interesting that's where the thing is that I'm seeing located, or that's in there, because what if it was something that was like tearing the tree, like the bark and stuff off, to eat like insects or whatever were inside of it?
I mean, that's possible. Well, the part that really, I think the most eventful part of the hike for me was the trees that seemed like they were going to come down around it. Like it was.
Yeah, that was from the wind, though. I'm pretty sure.
Well, the one time it happened, it was. Oh no, it was
when we first walked up.
Well, I don't remember exactly what point, but
or like the little knocking sound you heard.
It was an eerie feeling on that part of the trail.
It was, especially after finding that print.
I want to go further.
Yeah, we'll go back.
If we go further, does that part come back out at the parking lot next to the fort? Is that?
It does go towards the fort. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
That's the way we came in last time. Then.
Mm-hmm. But there are several different like trails too that lead off it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I don't know if we would come out on the same trail that like we started on the last time we went there. I don't know.
Awesome weather yesterday.
It was.
It's a beautiful hike.
Almost stepping on the snake was barefoot. That was quite eventful for me.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised we've seen a snake this early.
I know.
In the season. They're out, so if you guys get out,
just a little guy.
Watch your steps. But yeah,
I'll never walk without shoes on again through.
I think the next destination I want to go hiking at is Natural Bridge. I believe that's. I mean, it's only like. It's not too far to drive and do a day's trip out of it.
I'd rather do it when the kids aren't in school though, so that I'm not pressed for time.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Which will be coming up before you know it. Anyway, I have
to do it around work as well. That'll be.
I got a few encounters to share, and I want to encourage you guys also. If you have any encounters you want to share with us, people experience strange things all the time in their lives, and a lot of times they don't have anybody to tell it to, or they're afraid to tell it to people because they're embarrassed or what have you. But we want to hear about it. We'd love to hear. If you want to email those to us, you can do that by sending an email to hillshadowsky@yahoo.com. And we'll share that, or if you don't want us to, we'll just read it and keep it between us, however you want to play that. But I got a few I want to share tonight. Do you have anything?
Nope, nothing.
I figured you did.
I'm just playing. Yeah, I have a few.
That's just like Ashley to not come.
Wow.
I actually have one with Dogman tonight. I'm excited about that.
Mine are.
I never can. It's hard to find Dogman.
It's not one particular thing. It's a few different.
Random, right?
Yeah.
Also got another where a guy claims he met the devil.
I have one about the devil as well.
So yeah, do you want to get started? Or do you want me to start it off?
You go ahead because I'll have to find this website really quick.
Also, I know people probably notice I'm glancing up at the camera occasionally. I'm trying to make sure.
It cuts off every 30 minutes. There's
a time set on. I'm still trying to get the hang of this new camera. It does a great job, but I'm just trying to figure out stuff. I'm gonna get started off with the Dogman thing because I'm just excited about this one.
Okay.
And I found these all these on Reddit.
That's like your go-to.
It is. I'm not. I can still find stuff as long as I'm still able to dig up new material. I'm gonna still go there. I see other things. I just don't see the need to change just yet. So let me get my reading glasses on here. And this one is under the subreddit "The Truth Is Here," and this one's by user The Halls of Terror, and it's titled "Werewolves of Wyoming." Author's note: this story comes from a friend of mine that I used to share an apartment with. I interpreted it as a werewolf encounter at the time, but have since learned about skinwalkers and am leaning more towards that explanation now. A creepy story either way. My roommate, a guy we'll call Jim, spent his high school years in a little town in eastern Wyoming. I can't recall the name of the town, but it was the kind of place that most people had forgotten about since the trains had stopped coming through. It was a very weird little town, and most of the people living there seemed to be very paranoid. A lot of parents would not let their children play outside after dark, and all unfamiliar faces were regarded with suspicion. Since the town was miles away from the nearest McDonald's or movie theater or shopping mall, there was nothing for young people to do but get shit-faced drunk. That's what Jim and his friends were planning to do on the night that this story takes place. A fellow classmate was having a kegger at his parents' house that night, which was 20 miles out of town on a dirt road somewhere. Jim had reservations about driving out there in the dark because that general area was known to be sort of creepy at night. But his friends really wanted to go, and he was the only one with a car. So after some coaxing, Jim and about 5 of his friends pile into his Buick and head out of town. About half an hour later, they realize that they are lost. They can't find the road they are supposed to turn on, and it's too dark to read any of the signs. They haven't seen any houses or cars for a while, so they figured they must have taken a wrong turn somewhere and decide to head back to the main road. After turning the car around and driving in the opposite direction for a few miles, Jim spots something in the middle of the road up ahead. His friend in the passenger seat notices it at the same time and says, "What the fuck is that, dude?" At first, they can't tell what they're looking at, but as the car draws nearer to the big black shape in the middle of the road, it starts to look like a mass of fur. Jim thinks it must be an animal, but it looks big enough to do damage to his car, so he slows down and stops the car about 20 feet away from the thing. At this point, it is completely illuminated by his headlights, but neither he or his passengers can figure out what the hell kind of animal it might be. Since it hasn't moved, they assume it must be dead and start to argue over who will drag it over the side of the road. That's when the thing starts to move. They all fall silent and watch as it stirs, then suddenly stands up. Jim would always preface the next part of the story with, "I know this sounds crazy, but..." He says he can't really describe what he saw, but he had never seen anything like it before. The closest he can come is this. The thing, whatever it was about 7 feet tall when it rose to its full height. Its body was shaped like a human male, but it was covered with a thick, dark fur. The head, he said, and I watched the goosebumps break out on his arms as he said it, was not human. It looked almost like a jackal or a German shepherd, with a long snout and pointed ears, and its eyes were glowing in the headlights the way that a cat's eyes sometimes glow. It was staring right at them. Jim doesn't know how long he stared back at the thing before he noticed that it was clutching a dead rabbit in one of its enormous hands, or paws. He had barely had time to register this bit of information when the creature suddenly flung the dead rabbit away and took a step toward the teenagers in the car. Everyone screamed, and Jim slammed the car into reverse, made a U-turn, and got the hell out of there. Needless to say, they didn't make it to the party that night. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Sounds like a for sure classic Dogman sighting right there.
Yeah.
And
I still just, I couldn't imagine, like, driving, on a dirt road, country road, whatever road,
right.
Forested, and come up on something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
like, that's insane to me.
It's
especially
like
directly in front, nothing like hiding it in any way,
right.
Like full view.
And honestly, it's like the last place you think you're gonna see anything. Usually when when I'm in my car or in the car driving, it's a very normal, mundane feeling most of the time, right? Especially if you're in the same area you're used to driving in every day, you're seeing the same things. It's It's just one of those things where you're really caught off guard.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
most of the time, I keep my camera on me when we go hiking in places like that.
We need a dash cam. Like
But
that
when
should
I
be
go
something
out,
that's
like
because
just
you never
to a
know when.
grocery shop or whatever,
Yeah.
I often think like, should I take my camera? Nah, I'm not gonna need that thing.
Should.
But
You
the
never know
thing
when
is,
you may
if
see something.
something was to
That's
happen, I
when
would
things
be
happen.
so angry with myself.
That's what happens when you least expect it.
You would think me, having missed the Black Triangle a few
Mhm.
times, I'm determined to get that thing this year. I'm really hoping.
Speaking of that, skies, it made me just think. So, evidently, in the northern parts of the U.S., it's possible that you could see the Borealis.
Right, that's tonight. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're in like New York, where did it say? I know New York was one of them.
Northern states.
It's possible
So,
as long as it's
upstate
clear,
New York.
not cloudy.
I believe they even said. Well, they were naming places like the weather pattern is very similar this time to like it was years ago when they were saying before when this weather pattern happened, they could see it in Idaho as well as New York, all like states really high up, you know, and it has to be a clear night as well. So you got to have that going for you.
You have Mornay sauce.
Oh, I've been cooking tonight, so forgive me for this. Yeah.
Mornay sauce.
Mornay. We recently been exposed to different foods we haven't been until recently.
Hot browns being one of them.
Hot browns are one of them. And those were actually invented here in the good old state of Kentucky at the Brown Hotel in Louisville, correct?
They're so flipping good.
Quite easy to make. I'm pretty fascinated by the Mornay sauce itself.
It's good.
Whoever thought about putting butter and flour and cooking that up together who figured that out?
I don't know,
That's
but
just
it's
crazy,
fantastic.
Man.
Okay, since you just read, like, on a
right
road at night, whatever.
Right. You got one similar?
I do.
Because, like I said, my other one is a dude says he met the devil, and then I have another one that comes from a swamp. So.
Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Let me see where this actually starts at. All right. This is a night journey through the Navajo country. Whoops. All her life, Frances T. has seen things, heard things, and felt them. Born into a family of sensitives, this was rather normal. In my family, you were considered odd if you didn't experience abnormal things, Frances says. We never talked much about our experiences or our feelings about them. We just accepted them as normal, which in fact to us they are. But nothing could have prepared her family for what they encountered on a dark, desolate road in Arizona 20 years ago. It's a mysterious and traumatizing event that haunts them to this day. Frances's family had moved from Wyoming to Flagstaff, Arizona in 1978, shortly after her high school graduation. Sometime between 1982 and 1983, 20-year-old Frances, her father, mother, and her younger brother took a road trip back to Wyoming in the family pickup truck. The trip was a vacation to visit with friends.
Go ahead. Just keep an eye on things.
And around their old hometown. The only member...
Pause right there. All right, carry on.
The only member of the family not present was her older brother, who was in the Army and stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The course along Route 163 took them through the Navajo Indian Reservation and through the town of Kayenta, just south of the Utah border, and the magnificent Monument Valley Navajo Tribal Park. Anyone who has lived in Arizona for any length of time knows that the Indian Reservation can be a beautiful, if harsh, place for non-natives. Many strange things happen out there, Frances says. Even my friend, a Navajo, warned us of traveling through the reservation, especially at night. Along with the warning, however, Frances's Native American friend blessed the family, and they were on their way. The trip to Wyoming was uneventful, but the trip back to Arizona along the same route more than justified the warning from Frances's friend. It still gives me goosebumps, she says, to this day. I have major anxiety attacks when I have to travel through the North Country at night. I avoid it at all costs. It was a warm summer night, about 10 p.m., when the family's pickup was heading south on 163, about 20 to 30 miles from the town of Kayenta. It was a moonless night on this lonely stretch of road, so pitch black that they could only see a few feet beyond the headlights, so dark that closing their eyes actually brought relief from the fathomless black. They had been driving for hours when Francis's father, at the wheel, and the vehicle's passengers had long ago settled into quiet. Frances and her father sandwiched her mother in the truck's cab, while her brother enjoyed the night air in the back of the pickup. Suddenly, Francis's father broke the silence. "We have company," he said. Frances and her mother turned around and looked out the back slider window. Sure enough, a pair of headlights appeared over the crest of a hill, then disappeared as the car went down, then reappeared. Frances commented to her father that it was nice to have company on this stretch of road. If something went wrong, neither vehicle and its passengers would be alone. Thunder began to rumble from the vast clouded sky. The parents decided that their son should come into the cab before he got soaking wet from any rain that might fall. Frances opened the slider window, and her little brother crawled in, squeezing between her and her mother. Frances turned to close the window and again noticed the headlights from the following car. "They're still behind us," her father said. "They must be going to either Flagstaff or Phoenix. We'll probably meet them in Kayenta when we stop to fuel up." Frances watched as the car's headlights crested another hill and began its descent until it disappeared. She watched for them to reappear, and watched. They didn't reappear. She told her father that the car should have crested the other hill again, but hadn't. Maybe they slowed down, he suggested, or pulled over. That was possible, but it just didn't make sense for Frances. Why in the hell would a driver slow down, or, worse yet, stop at the bottom of a hill in the middle of the night with nothing around for miles and miles? Sorry. Frances asked her father. For miles and miles, Frances asked her father. "You'd think they'd want to keep sight of the car in front of them in case anything happened." "People do weird stuff when they're driving," her father replied. So Frances kept watching, turning around every few minutes to check for those headlights, but they never did reappear. When she turned to look one last time, she noticed that the pickup was slowing down. Turning back to look out the windshield, she saw that they were rounding a sharp bend in the road, and her father had slowed down the truck to about 55 miles per hour. And from that moment, time itself seemed to slow down for Frances. The atmosphere changed somehow, taking on an otherworldly quality. Frances turned her head to look out the passenger window when her mother screamed and her father cried out. "Jesus Christ, what the hell is that?" Frances didn't know what was happening, but one hand instinctively reached over and held down the button for the door lock, and the other tightly grabbed the door handle. She braced her back against her small brother and held firmly onto the door, still not knowing quite why. Her brother was now yelling, "What is it? What is it?" Her father immediately flipped on the interior cab light, and Frances could see that he was petrified. "I've never, ever seen my father that scared in my whole life," Frances says. "Not when he came home from his tours in Vietnam, not when he came home from special assignments, not even when someone tried to firebomb our house." Frances' father was as white as a ghost. She could see the hair on the back of his neck standing straight out, like a cat's, and so was the hair on his arms. She could even see the goosebumps on his skin. Panic was filling the small cab. Frances' mother was so frightened that she began shouting in her native Japanese in a high, squeaky voice as she frantically wrung her hands. The little boy just kept saying, "Oh my God." As the pickup sped around the bend in the road, Frances could see that the shoulder dropped off deeply into the ditch. Her father slammed on the brakes to prevent the truck from swerving into the ditch. As the pickup was slowing to a stop, something leaped out of the ditch at the side of the truck, and now Frances could clearly see what had started the panic. It was black and hairy, and was eye level with the passengers in the cab. If this was a man, it was like no man Frances had ever seen. Yet, despite its monstrous appearance, whatever this thing was, it wore a man's clothes. It had on a white and blue checkered shirt and long pants. I think jeans, Frances testifies. Its arms were raised over its head, almost touching the top of the cab. The creature remained there for a few seconds, looking into the pickup, and then the pickup was past it. Frances could not believe what she had seen. It looked like a hairy man or a hairy animal in man's clothing, she says, but it didn't look like an ape or anything like that. Its eyes were yellow, and its mouth was open. Although time seemed frozen, jeez, sorry. Although time seemed frozen and stored in this moment of fantastic horror, it was all over within a few minutes. The headlights, her little brother coming into the cab, and the thing. By the time the family reached Kayenta for gas, they had finally calmed down. Frances and her father climbed out of the pickup and checked the side of the truck to see if the creature had done any damage. They were surprised to see that the dust on the side of the truck was undisturbed, and so was the dust on the hood and the roof of the truck. In fact, they found nothing out of the ordinary. No blood, no hair, nothing. The family stretched their legs and rested at Kayenta for about 20 minutes. The car that had been following them never did show up. It's as if the car simply vanished. They drove home to Flagstaff with the cab light on and the door securely locked. I wish I could say this was the end of the story, Frances said, but it's not. A few nights later, around 11 p.m., Frances and her brother were awakened by the sounds of drumming. They looked out his bedroom window into the backyard, which was surrounded by a fence. At first, they saw nothing but the forest beyond the fence. Then the drumming grew louder, and 3 or 4 men appeared behind the wooden fence. It looked like they were trying to climb the fence, but couldn't quite manage to bring their legs up high enough and swing them over, Frances says. Unable to get into the yard, the men began to chant. Frances was so scared she slept with her little brother that night. Sometime later, Frances sought out her Navajo friend, hoping she could offer some explanation for these strange incidents. She told Frances that it was a skinwalker that had tried to attack her family. Skinwalkers are creatures of Navajo legend, witches that can shapeshift into animals. That a skinwalker attacked them was quite unusual. Frances's friend told her, as it had been a long time since she has heard of any activity about skinwalkers, and that they normally don't bother non-natives. Frances took her friend back by the fence, where she had seen the strange men trying to climb in. The Navajo woman considered the scene for a moment, then revealed that 3 or 4 skinwalkers had visited the house. She said that they wanted the family, but could not gain access because something was protecting the family. Frances was astonished. Why? She asked. Why would the skinwalkers want her family? Your family has a lot of power, the Navajo woman said, and they wanted it. Again, she said that skinwalkers usually don't bother non-natives, but she believed that they wanted the family enough to expose themselves. Later that day, she blessed the perimeter of the property, the house, the vehicles, and the family. We haven't been bothered by skinwalkers since, Frances says. Then again, I haven't been back to Kayenta. I have gone through other towns on the reservation, yes, at night, but I'm not alone. I carry a weapon, and I carry protective amulets.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I don't know what it was I saw, but it was wearing clothing. That's weird.
You know, it's kind of weird that,
Ow.
I don't know if this is the one I'm going to read, but I've been trying to scan through this to see. I don't know. I want to say this is similar to what you would, because they described this thing as something that looked like it almost had a shirt on or something, right? Or like a black shirt or like.
I don't know what you're referring to.
I said it looked like it might have clothes on.
When?
The one you were just talking
about.
about.
Oh, yeah, it did have clothes on. A checkered shirt and jeans.
I got one that comes from out of a swamp, and this is described as it looks like it may have had a black shirt on.
Okay.
Pretty weird.
All right.
and we haven't shared these stories with each other either. So
no.
It's just random. Like, as soon as you said that, I was like, well, that's weird, and this was the one I was going to read next, and this is called Creepy Encounter in the South Carolina Swamps. I got this off Reddit, and it's called Backwoods Creepy. Now, I don't know if it's the same creature that is from your story,
okay,
but that's a pretty creepy story. And it seems like, who knows, right? Who knows? But I'm going to read this real quick, and I may have one more after this. Yeah. But this just reminded me of your story so much. Like, I want to see what you think. It's not a very long one. It's just
Okay, I'm having
couple
trouble
paragraphs.
finding.
But this one's from user Super Soup Sandwich, and under the subreddit Backwoods Creepy. And as I said, titled Creepy Encounter in the SC Swamps. I had a really weird experience in Congaree National Park outside of Columbia last winter that brought me to these kind of subs. It's a beautiful boardwalk that goes through the swamps and the cypress forests in them. If you look at the image, the story might make more sense. I'll include the image this guy's got posted, although I don't think it has anything to do with the actual location. I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, and frequented CNP, which is Congaree National Park, so I'm familiar with the area. I often would jump the fence and walk the boardwalk at night, as it's super peaceful to walk the swamp and hear all the wildlife. They never have a ranger or guard there after hours, so I was always alone. The last time I did this, in October 2021, I was taking my usual stroll with flashlight in hand. I should mention, between the insects and frogs, the sound is loud, but then it completely stopped when I was about a mile in. I heard what I thought was my wife call me from the trail ahead, but she wasn't there. I was alone, and she was out of town. I then heard water sloshing to my right and saw nothing with my flashlight. I chalked it up as being tired and kept moving. The wildlife started up shortly after, and everything was fine. Maybe 15 minutes later, I noticed it got eerily quiet again and heard swamp water sloshing on my left. But this time it was more deliberate, like somebody walking. I was in a thick portion of the cypress and couldn't see more than 20 feet in front of me. And then I heard my wife's voice again. Again, she wasn't with me and was out of town. Certainly not moving through a swamp at 1 a.m. I saw what looked like a human silhouette move between the trees for a split second. But it was off, very skinny, pale, and taller than me at 6 feet. I noped the fuck out of there and ran the almost 2 miles back to my truck and didn't slow down until I heard the wildlife again. Like I said, this is a boardwalk that's in a swamp in the boonies. Nobody is walking around in the water at night without a light or ever, and I don't know of any animal that big that walks in bipedal pattern and have spent my life in the outdoors. I feel I should add that I wasn't high or sleep deprived. I just like the woods at night. I was so freaked by this I came to Reddit and dove into some of the stories on this sub as well as others. I'm convinced I encountered a crawler, a wendigo, or something else that can mimic voices. There's no way some meth head was stumbling through the swamp miles from civilization that sounds like wifey, but then again, it is also South Carolina. Maybe it was a different one where the thing had the shirt on, but it was something I read tonight for sure. Something I read at night where it was
There seems to be a lot of sightings of these
was
crawler
it not in
type
the werewolf
things.
thing? I know they're very common. Do you think they're aliens, or do you think maybe they
No, I
dwell
think they're.
underground or
Yeah, that's what I was
something?
gonna say. I think that they're dwellers of some underground something. I don't know.
I don't know, man. The werewolf thing I was reading said his body was covered with thick fur, but I still don't see anything about clothing. Let's see where I've got.
You know, I've heard this a couple different times of like seeing this hairy thing with clothing.
That's kind of strange. Do you think
It
maybe
is. What does
people
that
just
mean?
assume maybe because they see the hair that it's some type of clothing?
I think that sometimes that is the case. Also, I wonder if, like, there's been stories of like a Bigfoot being seen wearing a shirt or something. You know, I wonder if they see humans, right? They watch
try to
us and
mimic us.
maybe
You think
like somebody,
Bigfoot-
they scare somebody off, they leave their clothes or find clothing, whatever,
think
and they're like, ooh.
That's a funny thought because it's probably happened
Yeah.
at some time or another, right?
That's what I think happens.
Oh, that's hilarious. So there's Sasquatch out there running around dressed up like people, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? That's funny.
I mean, there's other stories of them, you know, like
That is
speaking
funny.
English. It may not, you know, it may just be like, hey, or
Right.
what
they
is that
just
one
try
story? It
to-
was like, buddy,
Yeah.
buddy.
Matter of fact, that's what you try to say every time you ever try to call out to a Sasquatch this day and age. Which is kind of insulting to Sasquatch.
Why?
Because you're giving the impression that they're all like special needs.
No, that's not. It's like they're toddlers and they don't even speak English. So it's like
but they
simple,
can't possibly
hi,
all
buddy,
be like
friend.
toddlers, alright?
Huh?
What if they're full grown and you're still talking to them like they're toddlers?
Well, whatever. I mean, even if you take that away, still, they don't speak English probably.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's as good a thing as any. You're just as good as going out there and whooping around in the woods, so. I don't know that anybody knows what they're doing when they do that.
That
either,
one
so.
saying buddy.
Who knows, man? We don't
I
know.
wonder, is that something that somebody has seen them? They're like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, bud.
I guarantee
you know, or is it like been watching some buddies out in there, you know, out in the wild?
From observing or being communicated with one way or another.
I was giving you some stories. You cut me off.
I'm listening.
I'm done now.
What's the stories? Tell me the stories.
I don't remember at this point.
You don't remember the stories?
No, just buddy. That's it. All right.
Well,
I'm going to read this now. Let's see.
And what is this
Oh,
one
okay.
about, by the way?
This one is the day a man's father met the devil.
Okay, well, that's right on. That's right on cue, man. I got one to follow that perfectly. So.
Yeah. Let me make sure this is I'm starting in the right place. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was in the early evening. Well, actually, maybe I should start. I'll start right here.
I always shoot for the beginning. But...
Yeah, well, there's like little things about it and then the story.
Like a preface. Yeah. Okay.
It was in the early evening on a summer's day. The circus had arrived in town, and the man's father and his younger brother, the man's uncle, went to check it out. There are always pretty girls at these traveling fairs, but the man's father wanted to see the freak shows. His father was always fascinated with the Elastic Man, the cow with two heads, the singing chicken, and all the other weird attractions these shows provided. This time, it was a disappointment. There were the usual presentations, but nothing new, and some of the acts were obviously fake. But this time, they met two girls and were getting ready to go hear some live music when they ran into a short, stubby man wearing a dinner jacket. This stranger introduced himself and started talking about the freak shows. Then he raised his arm and exclaimed he was the greatest illusionist in the world. He said he had a trick that was both scary and amazing. The man's father asked this stranger if he was part of the circus. The stranger said he auditioned for a job, but the owner turned him down. The man's father asked him why, and the stranger said his act was so frightening that the owner accused him of being the devil. Now the man's father and uncle were intrigued. They asked the stranger if they could see the trick. The stranger said, of course, with an exception. They would have to come to the trailer where he lives. There he would show them, as the stranger reassured them that his trailer was not far away. The man's father, his uncle, and the two girls followed the stranger until they arrived at the stranger's place. There were some steps leading up to the front door, and the stranger showed them in. The man's father and company went to go sit on a sofa and noticed that the trailer was a good size and well kept. After turning up all the lights so the stranger's guests could see better, the stranger put on a cape, commenced with an introduction, bowed, held up his right hand, and then proceeded to put a white glove on his right hand. He extended his arm and started running his left hand over, under, and around his gloved right hand, all while closing and opening his right hand and wiggling his fingers. The stranger started chanting some strange words in another language. Then, with his left hand, he grabbed the tip of the white glove, turned and looked at the man's father, and asked him and the others if they were ready. They said yes, and with a quick motion, the stranger removed the glove. The man's father was in shock and disbelief, and so was his uncle. The girl screamed, and staring them in the face was the skeleton of the hand, still wiggling its fingers. The stranger turned the hand around so they could see the back, and the man's father said it was real. Then the man's uncle got up to get a closer look. That's when the stranger grabbed the top of the man's uncle's head with his bony hand and said that now, and said, bony hand and said that now, oh, now he was really going to show them something. That was all it took. The girls ran out the door screaming and crying, followed by the man's father and uncle. The stranger came out the door yelling and laughing as the man's father stopped and turned around. The stranger was standing there at the top of the steps with a grin on his face, looking at the man's father. On the ground was a wooden plank with long nails pointing up. The stranger jumped off the steps and landed right on those nails. The nails went right through his shoes and blood started to flow. The man's father stood there transfixed as the stranger started to laugh again while pointing at the man's father with his bony finger. The man's uncle returned, grabbed the man's father by the arm, and both of them ran. The man's father and uncle knew that was the devil, and they were grateful that they were able to escape. It's a day he will and can never forget.
There's only one way to deal with the old devil. That's by proclaiming the blood. You better start yelling and shouting out to Jesus Christ and all that is holy.
He turned his hand to just the skeleton of it.
That's crazy.
It is.
Did his hand heal?
They ran. Did you not listen?
Yeah, I'm saying that. Was there like, do you think, was it like permanent damage or what?
No, I don't guess so. I mean, if it's like really the devil or some type of demon.
I'm assuming, like made it appear to.
He grabbed dude's head with his little bony fingers. You didn't listen to none of it.
Oh, I thought you were saying, okay. Yeah, so he had a bony hand himself, right?
The illusionist. It wasn't a bony hand. It was the bones of the skeleton.
Okay.
Oh, my word.
I did. I got confused there for a second.
And then said he was getting ready to do something else. Like,
right.
Here's where the real scary stuff begins. Mm-hmm. And they were all like, nope. Right. And ran out. And he jumps down. Like, they run out the door, and they get whatever so far away. And the stranger jumps down off his porch onto a plank that has nails sticking out.
Pause. Yeah, has nails sticking out.
Mm-hmm. And he jumps on them. They go through his shoes, through his feet, and blood's like flowing everywhere, while the man is just like laughing at them and smiling.
Yikes! That's terrible. The devil's out here. This other one I got about somebody that thinks they met the devil. I've read this before. I don't think I shared it before. You said you don't recall.
I don't recall, but this is one that I did hear. You know.
But you've heard.
You did references to see.
You did hear this before, right? You've heard the story.
When you read it to me earlier, asking me if.
But not prior to that.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't remember where I heard this at, but I have heard this before. And since you had mentioned something about maybe having one about the devil, I figured I would try to find one as well. And do you have any other ones you want to do tonight? Because I think, let's see, I'm not sure what we're running at exactly, but it's probably close to the 50-minute mark at this point. So yeah, if you got another one, we could probably do that too.
I have another one. It's not anything too crazy, but
this this other one I got is also off Reddit. And as always, if you guys want to check out any of these stories that we share with you guys, I will post the links in the description box so you can check that out. This one's called "I Think I Met the Devil Today," and this one's by the user Gerald Lozano, and it's under the subreddit of No Sleep. And this is the last one I got for the night, I think. It all feels like a nightmare. No one believes me. I just need to tell someone, anyone. It all happened early today. It was an ordinary summer day like any other. After work, my roommate and I were watching TV, and I offered to go grab food for us. There's a cheap restaurant on the other side of town from us, but there's a shortcut through the nearby park, which is just a big forest that makes the trip take only a few minutes by walking. It has been nice all day, so I decided to just walk there through the forest. No big deal since I take that route almost every day in the summer. Well, this time was different. When I was about halfway there, it started to rain, like a downpour. It wasn't even cloudy before this, and there wasn't any rain in the forecast. I didn't really think about any of this. Instead, I just ran for a nearby tree to wait out the rain since I figured that since the rain came out of nowhere, it would probably be gone in just a few minutes. Just as I get under a big tree, the rain pouring down still, when I see someone coming down the trail from the opposite direction. He was walking casually, drenched in rain. Now, I live in a college town, so I just figured that he was some random college kid drunk or high and not even noticing the rain. Still, he seemed so out of place. He has this sly smile on his face like he knows something I don't and was walking fine like he was completely sober. I decided to just let him get poured on and be on his way since he doesn't look like he has even noticed me anyways, until suddenly he just stops right in front of me out in the rain. He still has that smile on his face, staring at me like he knows some dark secret of mine. Honestly, he looked like a cocky asshole. Since he also looked pretty young, I just figured he was a drunk college kid who was really good at hiding it or maybe just got laid. Either way, he has stopped right in front of me and is just looking at me and freaking me out, so I ask if I can help him. He doesn't respond. Instead, he just stares and then starts to laugh. Now I'm almost certain he is just drunk, so I decide to just ignore him until the rain stops and then leave. Then all of a sudden he just says, "You're going to die in 2 days." Now this is just weird, but he is about the same size as me, and I'm not really one to back down, so I face and get ready to fight, but also ask him if it's a threat. I mean, if he is going to tell me I'm going to die, I figure he is going to try and attack me. I mean, maybe he is just some crazy person. All he says to that, calm as can be, is that he doesn't make threats, only guarantees. I figure now is a good time not to only get out of there, but also call the police. I've never been in a situation like this before, and I'm not about to be mugged or killed by some psycho. I take out my phone to call the police, and he tells me it won't help. I try to dial, but my phone is dead, even though I know it was fully charged. I decide I should just try to run for it. He hadn't moved at all, he just stood there. Just as I am about to run for it, he says with another laugh, "Tell you what, I'll offer you a deal. Either you die in 2 days, or your dear mother Rose dies in 2 days." My mom's name is Rose. How did he know that? Who the hell was this guy? I was paralyzed, couldn't move. There's no way he just took a guess in the dark. Before I can even answer him, he just jumped at me and grabbed me by the throat, choking. I kept kicking and hitting, but he just laughed and slammed me against the tree. That's when everything seemed to go dark. I thought I was about to black out, but then he leaned close and spoke to me. I know that I will never forget his words, and I know what I heard. He said, "It doesn't matter to me which one of you dies first. I get you all eventually. There isn't anything you can do to save yourself. So tell me, with your whole life ahead of you, do you think you're more valuable than your own mother?" Then he smiled again, that sly smile, and said, "I'll be back in 2 days to find out." Just like that, he was gone and the rain stopped. Maybe I blacked out, but all I know is that he wasn't there and it wasn't raining anymore. Hell, the ground wasn't even wet. I didn't want to wait around, so I ran home. I come into my apartment to find my roommate pacing the place on his phone. As soon as I walk into the apartment, he demands to know where I have been. He has been calling me for hours. He even went down the trail to look for me but couldn't find anything. He says that I have been gone for 5 hours. He then asks why I'm drenched. I tell him everything that happens in a rush. I might have left out some details, but when I finish, he says that it hasn't rained all day and that I couldn't have been on the trail since he walked down it 4 times looking for me. He just looks at me like I'm crazy and then asks, hold on, I lost my place, okay. Okay, da da da. And then asks if I'm drunk or something. I tell him I'm not, that I was on the trail. I can tell he isn't going to believe me. Hell, I'm starting to doubt myself. I mean, how can any of that have happened? I'm starting to doubt myself when my roommate notices my neck. It's beet red and he wants to know what happened. I explain again how I was choked, but he just looks at me like I'm crazy and tells me that he is going to bed and that I shouldn't disappear like that without at least answering my phone. My roommate thinks I'm just drunk. Every friend that I've told this thinks the same thing, even my mom. She says not to worry and that I shouldn't be drinking on the weekdays. I try to tell her that she could die. She doesn't listen. No one listens. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see him. I see his smile. I hear his words. Tomorrow I'm supposed to die or else my mom will. What do I do? Please, I need someone to believe me. So,
hold on. Is there an update? Is this
I'm
man alive?
looking for an update. I don't see an update. I'm scrolling
Wow.
here. Obviously, the only response to dealing with any demonic present or the devil himself
Right.
is proclaiming the blood of Jesus Christ. If
Yeah.
you're ever in this situation, there is one name that makes every demon in hell tremble, and that is the name of Jesus Christ. And I don't know about you, he's taken care of me for a long time.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it, especially dealing with this type of phenomena. Or if you're going to be looking into anything that you don't know much about, I would have some sort of faith that you're back and, keep that name handy. Keep that name handy. Because the devil will try you, and not always will he come right out and be
He's also
the
a
guy
trickster.
with the crazy smile on his face.
Right.
More times than not, he's going to look like your best friend or
yeah. Because they say he was beautiful,
somebody
right?
you trust tremendously.
Supposed to be very good looking.
Yes, Satan was the most beautiful angel in
yeah.
heaven. He does not. He's not going to come at you looking like some beastly monster, slobbering with red eyes. It's probably going to come to you as something quite appealing looking.
Did you know, I don't know, talking about the devil just made me think of this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what horns were supposed to represent, like, biblically? Or not necessarily biblically, but just in general, like, what God wants them to represent?
No, I'm not real sure.
Power.
Power.
Yeah, like, if you, like, research back, they're supposed to represent power.
Okay.
So, every depiction of, like, the devil, there's usually, like, these big, huge horns, right?
Right.
So, it's like mimicry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, he's like, ooh, like, big horns.
Right.
Like, he's super powerful. It's mimicry.
Well, it's sort of like the thing with 666 is like a mockery of the Holy
Trinity. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's like anything that God does, Satan wants to mimic it and make light of it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't mess with darkness. I don't mess with the devil.
No,
I keep
thank
all
you.
things light and love around here, and all things with Jesus Christ. That's my life personally. I'm not knocking anybody who lives differently, but this works for me, and it's tried and true as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna read this last one really quick.
Yeah, let's see it.
I don't think it's anything crazy long. Hold on. I don't know why my throat is giving me some issues tonight.
I do.
I'm gonna read now.
I'm listening.
This was an article about like angels, but this story is actually like strange UFO or angel. Some researchers think there might be a connection between UFOs and angel sightings. Oh wait, sorry, I don't want to read the thing. Hold on. Alright. It was a Saturday morning in Mariposa, California. Mariposa? How do you say it? Is that right?
That
Mariposa,
right.
California?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but saying it out loud sounds wrong to me for some reason. Anyways. And Lewis had to work that day. The air was fresh from a cool rain the night before, and the morning sky was bright with a few scattered clouds. I was heading out to my car in the back parking lot of the apartment complex where I lived when I noticed someone kneeling next to my car. Lewis says, this person saw me and quickly stood up holding a crowbar. The young man was quite obviously startled by Lewis's interruption, and although Lewis sensed the boy was up to no good, it hadn't yet hit him what he was doing. Then Lewis looked through the passenger window of his car and saw that the steering wheel column had been stripped of its cover. He realized that the young man was trying to steal his car. I asked him what the hell he was doing, Lewis recalls. He gave me a lame story about his friend's car being stolen last night and that my car looked like his friend's and so on. I didn't look I didn't want to hear it. I told him I was going to call the police, which I did on my phone. Lewis dialed 911 and gave the dispatcher the address. He told the would-be thief that the police were on their way and warned him not to leave. The boy said he would wait for the police, but Lewis could tell he was just waiting for the right moment to make a run for it. If he did, I wasn't going to try to stop him because because his adrenaline was pumping and he had that crowbar, Lewis says. As Lewis was grilling the young man, trying to detain him, he began to notice 3 rather large clouds in a single file formation that were almost overhead. Then I saw it, he says. A shiny object exiting from the first cloud and entering the next and then coming out of that one. It was shiny, like brightly polished chrome, and moving at a good speed. I couldn't make out the shape. By this time, Lewis was so distracted by the UFO that the punk saw his chance and took off. That's when the object entered the last cloud. From there, it was nothing but open sky. When it emerged, my life changed, Lewis says. There, against the richness of the blue sky, was a silvery shape that seemed to have arms and legs. It was so beautiful to look at. At the same time, it had the appearance of metal. It looked like some kind of ship with a strange design. The best way I can describe it is it looked like silverware in the design of the stickman children drew. It was huge, moving fast, and made no noise. As it sailed overhead, some of the limbs would move up and down, giving the impression of being alive, a living entity. It made a couple of rolls, reflecting the sun in every direction. Just beautiful. Like, oh my God, beautiful. As it started to fade away from my view, I found myself short of breath and with tears running down my cheeks. It had that much of an effect on me. I began thinking, maybe that's what an angel looks like, but maybe not. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Had
there's
arms,
any,
like arms and legs that moved.
is there any correlation between the sighting and the event that was taking place? Or is it just a
I don't know, man.
complete coincidence?
Right. I don't know.
I almost wish there was more to it. Like,
I
to
know.
tell what happened to the dude that ran away.
Mhm.
Because I want to say it was tied together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe it was like a sign that he should intervene in the dude's life, right, to change his path or something.
Right.
I've
There's
always
a bunch
had
of
that.
things about angels.
That's always been one of my favorite theories, is that aliens could be angels, right? I feel like that.
But I mean, I think there are a lot of people that think that's possible.
Yeah, it's that ranks up there with the theory that aliens are human time travelers from the future. I like
Right.
that one too.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I believe in, the Bible and angels and demons, and I often wonder, like, it would make sense, because I do believe these things to exist, so that would make sense with people seeing them occasionally.
Right.
And even with a lot of the scarier Bigfoot sightings you hear about, a lot of people talk about that sulfuric smell and the red eyes and the
Right.
feelings of dread. It seems like a demonic presence to me, whether it is or not. Anybody's guess, but yeah, I guess before I get out of here tonight, I just want to send out a big F you to Zach Bagans for everybody that,
Wow.
I'm tired of, wow.
Yes. Why would you say that?
I don't care about Zach Bagans or his drama. Just saying something. But not, anybody that's an asshole is not cool. Be nice to people. Be nice to your coworkers, whether you're working on the Travel Channel or at McDonald's. It makes everybody fight for it. For example, you're my coworker here. I don't want you to be an a-hole to me. I don't want to have to.
I mean,
I don't want to have to come out years later talking about all the abuse I've had to endure behind the scenes.
Abuse? Wow.
No, I'm saying about you like trying to get my shows canceled or whatever you may try to do.
That I may try to do that. That's insane.
I'm just
Holy
I
cow.
don't think you would do. I wouldn't work with you if you were like that.
Jeez.
But yeah, hopefully it'll be nice over the next week. We might be able to get out and make some more, get some more footage. You got anything you want to add?
No, I don't even know what to think now after your last
What?
honestly.
What do you mean? The abuse thing got you off guard?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't think you got nothing to worry about.
Me either. Jeez.
All right. Well,
anything,
that's all I
be
got.
You doing your
think what,
yes.
So.
Yes. For sure.
I'm pretty sure you can see the halo over top of my head right now.
Mhm.
Not really. Anyway, I don't have anything else. I'm ready to go enjoy the rest of our evening.
Yeah.
You guys have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for coming by and chilling with us and listening to some of our stories. If you enjoyed yourself, hit the like button. And also make sure you're subscribed. A lot of people that watch our videos are not subscribed. And if you got something you want to send us, again, you can send that to hillshadowsky@yahoo.com. I'll see you guys next week. Later.
Bye.